Ready?
Hello, and welcome to Rhythm and Pixels, a video game music podcast. My name is Rob Nichols.
And I'm Pernell.
And every week we listen to great video game music from all consoles and all generations. Every week we pick a topic, we pick some music, and we listen to the music, and we talk about the music, we talk about the games, we talk about everything else in between. And this summer is the summer of 16-bit. So we're going full retro.
Full steam ahead and full heat ahead because heat waves are terrible and we're in one.
We are in one right now, but we're getting some storms tonight, so I'm hoping it cuts things a little bit for the weekend. I'm looking forward to that.
Are we still getting the Elsa stuff? Because we had that crazy burst of rain that lasted 5 minutes earlier, so I wasn't sure what to make of that.
The last I read was it was cutting west and it's hitting us overnight. So, which is perfect because I was like, it's not going to hit our record time.
That is good, and also I can go and clean out to make sure there's no flooding that takes place.
Yeah.
I'm sure the listeners are like, oh yeah, these guys are going to deal with a wet, wild, crazy time. It's going to be fun.
I mean, we've recorded in storms before, but generally I'm worried about how the internet works, how well it's gonna hang on during those storms. You're probably hearing
Which on the positive, that means... I gotcha. I was about to say, I'm glad to hear at least that I don't have to worry about driving in it because I'm actually recording at home today.
That's right. You got ahead of me. And I just wanted to mention that Pernell probably sounds different because we're going back to just doing separate houses. And that's because Pernell's a very sick man. No, the problem is that my basement is under construction. And because of that, all of my litter boxes, the two of litter boxes are in my office with the cats. And it's not a pleasant place to be in. And where Pernell usually sits...
sparing me the misery.
Yes, and where Pernell usually sits is where the cats are sitting right now, and it's not good. So, but it'll be done in a week, so maybe the next couple episodes we'll be doing it pandemic style. That's what we're going to call it from now on.
Pandemic style. Boogie, woogie, woogie.
Not that we're out of a pandemic, but we're just, pre-vaccination style.
Pretty much, because right now, I mean, even now, I'm still, I went out of town actually recently for the first time in almost 2 years.
Yeah.
And it was apprehensive. I was a bit apprehensive about it, but I feel like ultimately I did the best I could with it. It was so different from how it used to be. At the airport the whole time, I had to wear your mask, and I took that very seriously. So basically, I was used to wearing my mask at the longest, maybe 40 minutes at a time, 50 minutes at a time. The exception being maybe if I was playing the dance game or something, exercise. But in this scenario, I'm wearing a mask upwards to 6-7 hours at a time, and it felt different. That's for darn sure. But in the end, my philosophy on it, like I mentioned at the end of the last episode, was that I took my shot. I believe in the shot enough to just do certain things that I want to do. Not so much that I'm going to just be hey, this trip to Walmart calls for no mask, but I do feel like if I'm going to just hang out with some friends who also got down with the business with their jabby jab, I should feel at least confident enough to do something with that. Take my chances there,
Rhythm and Pixels. Get down with your business with a jabby jab. That's what we're telling.
Right, jibby jam jab.
Yeah, and if you can understand what we mean, then go do it. That's what we feel.
And it turned out to be worth it. And with the one funny final aspect to it was that at one point I took on a puzzle bobble challenge from actual friend and listener Leslie. And she is known as being the puzzle bobble master. What she doesn't know, or she knows now, is that she gets a little intoxicated, loses some of the touch, and I took advantage of that. Ran right in it, boom, puzzle bobble madness.
That game requires some precision too. I mean, I love Bubble Bobble or Puzzle Bobble, or it's one of my favorite puzzle games all time. But yeah, anything can affect your precision, your judgment. That's how we say. It's tough. It's a tough game.
It really is tough. And honestly, I am genuinely challenged by it, but because of her, I admittedly got better at the game. Because you ever get that situation where you're playing a game and you're used to being good at it because you're doing better than the people you generally play with, and then one day you play somebody who just bonk, whoa, I lost. It must have been a fluke. Time to try again. Lost again. man, let me crack my knuckles here. Something's a little off. And you lose one more time. I was like, let me lean forward.
You gotta do.
I gotta focus.
You gotta do the gamer stance. All right, you know what? Let me let me put the headphones on. Just lean forward a little bit, and
yeah, that's pretty much what it was. We played all night at an anime con one time in the game room. We were just going head to head.
Awesome.
People wanted to come up to play the game. Like, go away! This is our machine. It was vicious.
Go find another TV. We're playing Puzzle Bobble.
That's right. There's blood in the water.
Now, Puzzle Bobble
it was a great time, honestly.
Was in the arcades during the 16-bit era, but I don't think there was was there a 16-bit iteration of Puzzle Bobble?
No, the first home console iteration was on the Saturn, and yeah, I'm pretty sure it was on the Saturn. It was Puzzle Bobble too.
Yeah, and I had a PlayStation 1, a PlayStation 2, and I had it on the Neo Geo Pocket also. That was the first game I got for the Neo Geo Pocket. Or the Neo Geo Pocket
Puzzle Bobble?
Color. Yeah, Puzzle Bobble. I wanted the fighting games for it, but I was deciding what to do with my money. And I thought, you know what? I play this game all the time. I want it because I was going to England, and I wanted a game to play on the flight. So that's what I got.
That sounds like a good call to me. For me, my puzzle game of choice was Puyo Pop on that system at the time.
Oh, man.
I'm still bad at it, but man, do I flex like I'm good. No shame.
Well, you're better than me. I'll tell you that.
I'm the type of guy in that game where I can get a mean combo going at the start, but the moment I get into a panic mode, it's just dig. There's no time to play it. Just dig. But and that's usually my downfall. I got to play better in chaos. That's what I need there.
It takes so much. That game is so much planning though, and Puyo plus Tetris has got to be even worse.
Oh, it's brutal.
Switching both sides of your brain. I
play it on Switch all the time.
Oh my gosh. So I have not been playing Persona. With my time, I have been back to playing classic shmups on the Capcom Arcade Collection on the PS4.
A tisket, a tasket. Tisk, a tisk.
I'm playing 1944, The Loop Master. It's awesome. I love that game.
Wait, that's the name of the game?
Yeah, because
1944 is the biplane game, right?
Yeah, there's 1943 was the first one. 1943 Kai was the hacked hard mode version of that game, and then 1944 The Loot Master I think was the sequel or like the extra sequel. And
what makes it Loot Master? Is it involving a loot, L-U-T-E?
Oh no,
or is it actual loot like money everywhere?
A loop, L-O-O-P.
Oh, not Loot Master.
And I haven't quite figured it out yet. I think it's either because it's encouraging you to play through the game in multiple loops, or it's because the plane flies in a loop. And then that's like the thing. It's a great game though. I love it. If you loved shooters from like the early 2000s, like that's a great collection to get. It has Street Fighter Turbo and Super Street Fighter Turbo. There's no online mode. It's just you're playing against the computer. It's got a bunch of beat 'em ups, but like that whole thing it's got 1943, 1944, 19XX, and it has Giga Wing, and it has I forget the other one that's a side scroller. That's awesome. Pro Gears. And it's like, I don't need anything else. It's so good. I love it. So I feel like I want to get into Persona, but I don't have the time. You know, like I'm at a point where I know I'm at the point, and you know it too. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to want to play it all night long. I'm not going to stop until the dungeon's done or the story's done. And I just need to devote that time to it. And I just don't have it.
There's always rest mode on the console.
I mean, I could do that.
You don't have to save the game.
I know, I could do that, but I'm not going to want to do that. So I'm thinking, literally, Pernell, I'm thinking of taking a day off of work to play Persona.
You should.
Oh, it's so sad.
I'm a terrible influence.
You know, people at home. Take off of work. Just don't go to work to play video games. We used to do it when we were younger. People do it again now. Don't go to school.
People do it right now. I got friends who are taking off for releases of games to this day.
Oh, man. It's a good idea.
I just don't. So I'm just like, I'm more about the acquisition than the darn playing these days. So I don't need to take a day off for a game. But I certainly know people who do because they get excited about the actual game.
Yeah, it's important to it's self-care. It's self-care. If you get excited about something, get excited about something. Be enthusiastic.
Maybe I'll take the day off for it. Maybe I'll use a floating holiday for Shin Megami Tensei 5 and be like, there it is. If I can't do it for that game, what would I take the day off for? Huh?
I would be surprised. I would be very surprised if that was not the game that you would do that for? Or is the game come out like on a holiday? Does it come out like around?
It is now Shin Megami Day.
Oh, I like that. SMT. And SMT's Eve is what we're going to call that day. We got to figure out that day, and we'll make it a holiday for the show, and then we'll celebrate it.
Oh yeah,
that'll be a Shin Megami.
I'm going to be dancing a merry jig. Bought the collector's edition and everything. After swearing off collector's edition, it's like I got to get this one.
This is the one for you. If you didn't get anything special for this release, I would seriously think there's something going on.
Yeah, scalpers. Because they tore that game up. It didn't last long. So.
All right, let's talk about the topic this week. So this came up a listener. We're not the Legacy Music Hour. Our listener and not Patreon member. Oh my God, I should just cut all of this.
Actually, it might be and honestly, I hope they correct us if they hear it because
a Discord user.
I know
and
Jess.
Podcast listener Jess. So it could be a Jess who was a Patreon member.
We also have the Patreon Phantom Jess, and we were questioning, are Jess and Phantom Jess the same person? Because we have no way of knowing. It's never come up. Yeah, so now it's like, hey, Jess, if you're listening to this, hopefully you are, since you suggested the topic. You're also Phantom Jess. Let us know. But it'd be pretty funny if you weren't. We're like, what?
Everyone's got different names on Discord and on Facebook and on Instagram and on Twitch. And I'm like the boring guy. I'm like, yeah, I'm just Rob Nichols everywhere now. I don't care.
Hey,
but
it makes it easier for the algorithm to figure out what you like to do.
Yeah, right. I want the algorithm to know me so I can buy the right things. So Jess suggested that we dig deep into this era of games and this era of the world, right? So not just the late 90s, mid 90s of video games, but at the time, the movies of that era and all of the games.
But still 16-bit.
Yes, but all of the 16-bit games that came out for those movies. And oh my gosh, they made a movie for damn near everything.
And they made a game based off of a lot of movies, which also kind of surprises me for that era. Because nowadays, it's not a big surprise to see, only because so many publishers and developers are out there that's even to the bet. It might be more of a surprise now because indies are generally the smaller tier development, and they don't usually get the licensing rights to movies. And the big budget studios are too busy doing big budget games to license, like the Fast and the Furious coming out of Square Enix or things like Acclaim and LJN don't exist anymore. So it's like, who's going to produce these titles? So honestly, now I think back on it, I retract my statement. They were more common back then than they are now.
I think they were more common back then, and I'm thinking about the games, the movies they decided to make games out of, right? Like nowadays, like of course, as like a kids movie comes out or an action movie comes out, they're going to make a game for it, okay? But in the 16-bit era, these movies, not all of them were that exciting to have a whole video game around. Or like, okay, I didn't pick any music from this game, but Cliffhanger with Sylvester Stallone is not exactly a video game movie, but oh my gosh, they made one anyway. And my first...
But they had the Rocketeer, so we got some goods there.
Okay, we did get the Rock, but that was 8-bit. We got 8-bit Rocketeer.
No, there was a 16-bit one too.
Oh, was there 16-bit?
There is.
Okay,
I didn't pick from it, but it does exist.
Before we get started, and this might be a little bit of... You don't have to tell me, but I'm curious. Did you find TurboGrafx games?
Of course I did.
You did?
I'm sticking with my theme. One from every console.
I couldn't find one. Maybe I just didn't look hard enough. Or
you didn't reach hard enough. Because this is a little bit of a reach, but it counts.
My first track comes from the game The Lawnmower Man. The movie The Lawnmower Man. For the Sega Genesis. Did you pick that one?
I did not.
Okay. This is a movie that is not that exciting at all and does not make any sense. Yet they made a game out of it because it's all about virtual reality. Is the game virtual reality? Absolutely not. The track is called Cyber Run, and it is by Allister Brimble, who we didn't focus, but we had a lot of tracks from the last episode who did the game Toddlers. Remember that one?
Same guy.
Same guy. So let's check it out. Allister Brimble, Cyber Run, The Lawnmower Man, Sega Genesis.
So
we're going to the movies for now. Get your popcorn.
I'll get the popcorn.
I'll get the VR headsets. You get the lawnmowers. Let's do it.
What? No. They don't let you take those into the theater. They make too much noise.
Oh man. Are the VR headsets? No, they're fine.
No, the lawnmowers.
I'm kidding with you. Listening to the track Cyber Run from the game, the movie, The Lawnmower Man for the Sega Genesis. This one's composed by Allister Brimble, becoming a regular on our show now. I like it.
Honestly, if he's pumping out tracks like this, I'm kind of okay with that because this is good. I'll never play The Lawnmower Man, but I'll play this track in my car.
Yeah, so Allister Brimble, you'll play this in your car. You turn up the bass to hear that. Okay, I mean, as much as I love the Sega Genesis and the sound of the synthesizer, sometimes when these drums get produced on that sound chip, they sound a little farty. They're a little flatulent, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, you're trying to think about tracks that came from a game that isn't Booger Man. Maybe so.
A Primal Rage. There was a character that the gorilla would fart on its opponents.
Now think about this gag, the movie Lawnmower Man, right? So this is how I always felt about it. Like, I never quite picked up on what it was because even though it was called the Lawnmower Man, the only reason it was titled that was because apparently the person who gets thrown into this whole VR tech thing is an actual person who did work as a lawnmower. He mowed lawns, but he was learning. He had a learning disability, so people gave him a lot of grief or something like that. I remember that, and I'm trying to remember how he ended up becoming connected with the VR technology. I want to say someone just used it as an experiment on him or something. Yeah, I can't remember.
So as I remember it, it was a scientist. Someone's going to write in and be like, "Oh, you forgot the whole thing." Of course, I forgot the whole thing. How many years has it been? So a scientist creates this VR world, right? And I think it's also it creates some kind of learning thing too. And it, of course, in the 90s, everything's connected from a computer, and the internet is a real thing, and you can control the world. Nowadays, that makes sense, but in the 90s, it did not make sense. But the scientist was Pierce Brosnan. Did you know that?
Oh, I did not know that.
So yeah, quite a name for this movie. And so the Lawnmower Man is the guy who mows their lawn. He's like their landscaper, and they bring him in, and he's like, he runs experiments on the guy, and he becomes super duper smart, and he takes over the VR world, and then something happens. I forget the rest. That's the movie. That's
pretty much all we need to know, though, honestly. Because I think it was probably popular at the time.
But. Yeah, it was a Stephen King short story, like most movies are.
Really?
Yeah.
Things I did not know.
I remember that. So yeah, it's just the movie itself is kind of slow. Not a lot going on. It was just an excuse to put in some kind of goofy 90s CGI effects and all that stuff. And because it was about virtual reality, and I think that was really capturing the public's imagination, they made some video games out of it. And I'll tell you right now,
Algernon, except he became a megalomaniac.
Yeah, exactly. I have not played these games, any of these games. I don't think
I've also never played Flowers for Algernon.
Flowers for Algernon, the video. Oh, I played one. This is probably not good for the podcast. It was a Flash game for, what was that Macaulay Culkin movie? With the girl.
Alone?
No.
Mac. No, not Mac and Me.
No, not that
I remember. All I know is I know the My Girl.
My Girl. It was called My Girl, the video game, and it was literally just you running from bees, and you couldn't escape. It was awful.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I know.
Jesus, people. I mean, I live in a world of memes, so I've seen plenty of references to that. But still, I couldn't play a game like that. Like, what? That movie was sad as the dick is back in the day.
Now, Mac and Me was not sad. In fact, that's a Mystery Science Theater special that's on Netflix right now. You can watch that one.
And a running joke that ran through Conan pretty much his entire stand-up career.
That scene doesn't happen very long. Like it's pretty early on in that movie. It's really funny of the kid falling down in the wheelchair.
If anybody's listening to this, what the heck are these two talking about? Just look up Conan O'Brien and Paul Rudd, Mac and Me, and that's all you need to see. It's hilarious.
Yeah, actually, I think Conan O'Brien's last episode, he had Paul Rudd on, and they did the gag again.
The second to last episode, he came on and punked him one last time.
And if you think that I'm a horrible person for laughing at a person falling in a wheelchair, it's not just... It's just how bad.
No, watch the clip.
You gotta watch the clip.
You gotta watch the clip.
You gotta watch the alien, like the really bad, like goofy plastic alien that comes. It's so strange. I don't know what
pretty much handles all. Honestly,
yeah. I've been watching Mystery Science Theater like before bed. I'll just put it on the TV and just lay down and just listen to them just riff on movies, and that's just my night.
Because that's the whole shtick of the show.
What, sleeping?
Isn't it?
Sleeping?
No, Mystery Science Theater is riffing on movies.
Oh yeah. But like it's become my nighttime show. It's become like my sleepy
time. Your wind
show.
down.
Yeah, my wind down. It used to be British Bake Off for a long time, but now it's.
That would just make me hungry.
It does. Oh my god, I dream about pastries. It doesn't stop.
And that's why it's good you stop, because you don't have your exercise anymore. So less sleeping on cakes and waking up eating a bakery. So no,
just waking up craving donuts. But every time judging them and not believing that they're perfect.
Oh, mercy.
All right. So what's your first movie?
Well, fun fact about this episode was that, and partly why I have a very specific amount of tracks, is because I spent a lot of time playing the games as I was coming across. I was like, wait a minute, I forgot about this. I want to play it now. So I actually went and booted the games up and played them and discovered that, holy cow, I was really good at games back in the day.
Oh, I saw you mention these on Facebook, and I was like, oh, you're actually getting into it. You're getting in there.
Oh, I was getting into it. So thank you for that suggestion, Jess. You sent me back in time to an era where games were movie tie-ins, and holy cow, frustrating. But let's get this party started with my first track. This comes from the game. This is actually a discovery for me. Dino City. And the track is titled Careless Circus, composed by Hiroshi Ebihara. You're listening to the Careless Circus from the game Dino City on the Super Nintendo, composed by Hiroshi Ebihara.
I feel drunk.
I have no idea.
To this song. This song is so odd. It's just, I feel like I'm swaying around back and forth at like a carnival. It's just crazy. Mission
accomplished. Like, I don't know. Like, there were 3 tracks from this game I was considering, but this one ended up being the one that stood out for some reason. Like, it clicked for me. Like the like it's just so much. I just liked it. And also, I think it's funny for me because people like to say, "Bro, this is a lot of circus music." Well, this is an actual circus theme, and in your face. I'm sure people are like, "Yeah, it's all well. It's a fine game track, Pernell, but sure, it's no movie themed English." And I'm like, "Well, actually, I didn't realize it up until recently, but this was based on a movie album. I don't remember it, but I wager I did hear of it back in the day. And the movie was called Adventures in Dinosaur City. It came out in 1991, and it was about a group of kids who got teleported into their, this was a common theme back then. Let's just get this out the way. Yeah. Kids get teleported into TV where favorite TV show exists, and they have to coexist in the TV world. In this case, it's a world of dinosaurs that talk, like that ABC show, Reptiles. That was called Dinosaurs too. But it was kind of like that, and basically the kids work together with dinosaurs to thwart an evil kingpin, Dino Kingpin, and get back home. So it's kind of funny because when I went and looked at the movie and read up, I was like, wait a minute, this does click because you control 2 of the kids and 2 of the dinosaurs from the movie, and they do have the same names. So it is a 1-to-1 a game based on this movie. And I was always intrigued by the game proper because Nintendo Power featured it. And I liked the graphics. I liked the idea of Dino Hop and Bop, along with the abilities that dinosaurs have, though admittedly there's no reason to use Rex because he punches, whereas the other character throws things. So it's like I got a projectile, or I can deal with a character with a crappy hitbox. I think I've made my choice.
Always use the better hitbox. Always.
That's right. And honestly, the game is a pain in the butt. I enjoyed my time with it, but at the same time, this is another case of, and this is going to come up a lot on the show, of a game that I wager I'd have been better at as a kid than now because I was playing. I was like, this is really annoying. Like, these controls kind of suck. The timing isn't all that great, and the hitbox on the attacks is terrible. So, as a kid, though, we're more forgiving, and we have more free time, so we're willing to just deal with it and push through till we see the end of the game. But as an adult, with a plethora of games at my disposal, no. But it was enough to say I'm going to experience it and play around with it for a bit and see what all the fuss was. And the music stands out to this day.
The music is pretty darn cool, I have to say. And it's very clear and crisp on the Super Nintendo, which is always really nice. I'm looking at the movie poster for Adventures in Dinosaur City. It is super 90s. There's a T-Rex in a leather jacket and sunglasses. There is
he's cool.
A Triceratops. I cannot figure out if he's wearing shorts and a button-down shirt and a vest. He looks pretty cool.
Our name is Tops. It's Rex and then Tops. And then the kids are named I think it's almost like Timmy and Tammy.
Yeah, Timmy.
Because of course.
I think in the game it's just Timmy, and he's high-fiving the T-Rex. And the tagline, at the bottom it says "Fun for the whole family," and I think that's important because at the top of the poster it says, "Long before there were turtles, the world was ruled by dinosaurs." So I think they're saying we're not Ninja Turtles. This is for the whole family. You know what I'm saying? Like they're trying to differentiate
not for the
themselves.
Families.
We're a family-friendly show. You know.
With dinosaurs that punch and throw darts at cavemen.
I am obsessed with figuring this out. I don't know who any of these actors are in this movie.
Me neither. I think they're all from Europe, and of course we were kids back then, so famous actors in Europe wouldn't really stand out for us.
No, these are definitely American actors. I'm looking them up, and they've all done just 90s TV movies in America.
Weird.
Yeah, and some other stuff on USA, like Silk Stalkings and those kinds of shows.
Yeah. And yet somehow this still garnered enough attention to get a video game by IREM.
Yeah. Okay, here's another one. Here's another one that you might not know. Okay, there was a movie in 1994 that starred Ray Liotta and Ernie Hudson. Yeah, Ernie Hudson from the Ghostbusters. And then we're not talking about the Ghostbusters movie because this is Ray Liotta. This is a movie called No Escape, an R-rated movie from 1994 that gets a Super Nintendo game.
Did the track title No Surrender?
Yeah, No Escape, No Surrender. No. The track is called Outside Insider's Village. So I guess it's the Insider's Village and you're outside of it. There's a lot of music in this game. I think it was composed in a very cinematic way. I would imagine it's still a very generic platforming game. It's composed by Shahid Ahmad and Andy Taylor. And to kind of get you ready for this, the summary of the movie is: a soldier convicted for murdering his commanding officer is dumped and left to die on a prison island inhabited by 2 camps of convicts.
Man, what a harsh girlfriend. She could have just let him go the natural way.
I was just thinking that. I was like, he's dumped, and then he's left to die. Like, that is a rough go of it.
Jeez, was it that bad, lady? Let the man live.
Not even left to die. He's left to die on an island that's ruled by convicts. 2 camps, 2 gangs who are ruling the island. I mean, that's...
We're through, loser.
Yeah.
That's what you get for being convicted of potential murder.
1994 Ray Liotta looks pretty good, though. So does Ernie Hudson. They still look pretty young and pretty buff. So here we go. This is the track, what do I call it? Outside Insider's Village from No Escape for the Super Nintendo. This part's really good right here. I really like this track. You're listening to...
We haven't even gotten through the episode yet, and this is my track of the show.
Oh, I'm so glad you like it. Yeah, this is Outside Insider's Village from No Escape for the Super Nintendo, composed by Shahid Ahmad and Andy Taylor. And I don't think they were told what the gameplay was like. They probably had no idea how horrible this game was, and created just this incredible soundtrack based on the movie. And they were like, oh, okay, we'll make this, like, they're going to have this set piece from the movie inside the game. We're going to make this awesome music. It's going to be super pumping with really energetic drums and really cool, like, synthesizers. Like, this is an awesome track. And the game...
Then you buy the game, and it's a bunch of mini games. It's a mini game compilation.
It's a mini game. It's just Mario Party. Yeah, they say the magazine Next Generation reviewed it, gave it 1 star out of 5.
Oof!
Yeah.
That makes me kind of sad because, like, you take this fantastic OST and slap it in a turd of a title, it's left to rot in the annals of video gaming history.
Oh man! So I didn't realize there was a Genesis version of this game, so I haven't listened to the Genesis soundtrack. I don't know if it's the same, like the same music or the same composers, but there was a Sega CD version that was going to be published, but that never came out. Never made it. So, but yeah, good soundtrack. If you're looking for interesting soundtracks from games that no one's heard of or played, this is one of them. This is very.
Any idea what the movie's about, or was it like, look, this isn't even worth looking up?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how well the movie did, but like I said, it's got Ray Liotta. He is convicted, probably wrongfully convicted for murdering.
Oh no, it's the island. I forgot the island thing. Yeah. I love how the joke went through my head. I got so caught up in the track that I was like, my old man brain forgot.
Seeing Ernie Hudson in this actually makes me really excited. I do want to check this out. There's some other people I sort of recognize. Ian McNeice, he played the Baron Harkonnen in the 90s version of Dune. Kevin Dillon, one of like Matt Dillon's brother, he's in this thing. I guess he plays a bad guy. He always plays a bad guy. I don't recognize anybody else.
He's so bad. He's like the Power Glove. Just start calling him Power Glove.
He's super bad. He's super bad.
He's so bad.
But Ray Liotta is the lead in this little operation here, and it looks pretty. It looks like a '90s movie for sure.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, this track will always be known as No Surrender because it just sounds like a No Surrender type
It does.
Track.
It feels like it. It feels like it's really pumping. You know what I mean?
Like, this is the final straw. It's got to push through. My family's depending on me. I might not survive this clash, but my family will live to see the end of it.
Yeah, this is cool.
And that's what matters.
I love it. Yeah, what would our action movie be? Would you and I be like in a Fast and Furious thing where family is everything, or would we be in more of like a cerebral action thing where maybe we're time travelers? Yeah, you think so?
It would have to be cerebral because we need something that involves more of our imaginations as opposed to let's just drive these cars very fast, but also guns sometimes.
I mean, not that I'm a bad driver, but I'm not like such an exceptional driver that they would make an action movie out of me. I mean, and you're pretty good. You're pretty good.
Oh, I will wreck it on the highway. Like, just don't ask me to parallel park action-packed parking job because you're not going to get it. But if you want me to speed down the interstate going 110 miles an hour, I've done that.
I'll say though,
the cops.
I challenge you, the listener, to go back and watch all of those Fast and Furious movies and count how many times you've actually seen somebody park the car. They're probably not great.
I'm curious about that. With double bonus that they park the car while intense music is playing.
Yeah.
Do. The guy's like looking over the seat, like, back the car up. Gotta be careful with this. I want to bump the guy. You know, it's all about the driving, not so much the rules of the road.
I'm imagining like some like hardcore, like early 2000s, like new metal is playing. You know, Korn is like, and Vin Diesel's like really slowly trying to parallel into the spot.
Like the Fast and the Furious, more like the Hasty and Responsible. I'd watch that movie.
Oh, Hasty and Responsible. So we're being quick about the responsibility.
Yeah, like they're not fast, but they are being a little hasty because they got places to be. But at the same time, haste makes waste, so you got to be responsible too.
That's why they're furious. They're so upset at all of the cars they've wasted trying to go so fast.
I love how I was having trouble thinking about the end, remember, and I just kind of jokingly came up with one right on a bike. That's what happens, folks.
Yeah. You think of it throughout the show, and then it becomes like a theme, and then at the end of the show, it wraps it up with a nice little bow. I always like that.
Pork chop sandwiches, and remember.
I like to think that at the end of our shows, it is like a little PSA, a little public service announcement. Where like the show's over, but then the credits roll, but then afterwards, like suddenly Pernell comes out and says, "Hey kids, stay in school, and take the time to appreciate your friends and talk to your family more often. Your grandmother misses you. Goodbye for now."
I actually was explaining that to somebody the other day because they were like, "Where did that come from?" And they thought I was joking. I was like, "No, it originally stemmed from us joking about Sonic Says and Sailor Moon Says and G.I. Joe Says." And then it just was like a thing was like, let's just keep doing it. So it just kept going.
And then that
arcade was like, I really appreciate the end remembers. It's like, wait a minute, someone appreciates this?
Yeah.
No, we gotta keep doing it.
Yeah, as if one person says they like something, we'll do it for the next 5 years. It's what's gonna happen.
That's pretty much how it works. That's how it works. Because it's like little Timmy. It's all about little Timmy's like, thanks, Mr. Pixels, Mr. Rhythms. I really like your musical jams. And it's like, oh, no problem, Timmy. We just want to make you happy, kid. What do you want? I want you to do an episode riding on a bike, but riding on it backwards. You got to have the computer strapped to the front so that you can keep the power running the whole time. That sounds rather elaborate, Timmy. But if Timmy wants it, we got to do it.
Well, Timmy's real sick, Pernell. So you gotta do it.
That's a sadistic little boy.
All right, we're coming up to your next track. What you find for us?
All right, my next track is what I would like to call the stretch of the episode because again, for whatever reason, I got it in my head that I wanted to do one of all of the trio of primary 16-bit consoles every episode if I can help it.
I knew you had to stretch for this.
So that's right, but I think it does apply. It's just you'll see. This track comes from the TurboGrafx 16 game City Hunter, and this is the stage select theme composed by Tatsumi Yano. I think
counts. I absolutely counts. Absolutely. This is a 90s anime movie that I watched in the 90s. Absolutely.
There we go. See, you're on board. You get it.
And I want to say Jackie Chan did a City Hunter movie as well. I could be wrong. Maybe
you're right.
Am I right?
But I was reading about it the other day, and there's people were questioning whether or not the City Hunter movie was tied into the manga or movies at all, or if it was like him being like, hey, I just like the feeling of this, so I want to do a movie. But I didn't dive in too deep. It was more like, hey, I got to stop doing this so I can play more Dino City. You get the idea.
All right, let's listen to it. This is City Hunter for the TurboGrafx 16.
Welcome back. You're listening to the stage select theme from the TurboGrafx 16 game City Hunter.
Yeah,
done by Sunsoft, believe it or not.
Yeah, we are.
This is by Tatsumi Yano.
Oh, this is so good. This is my favorite track of the episode. This is so good.
It's so happy, right? It's just like this weird uplifting, upbeat jam.
Oh, it's so good, and it like evolves and it builds and it builds and it builds and then it cruises again. This is amazing. This is stage select. Are you sure?
This is the stage select theme. I watched a playthrough of the entire game.
Oh my gosh! This
it
feels like title. It feels like credits rolling. You know what I mean? Like that's how it feels.
It does. And the sad part about it is end game, you don't spend a lot of time on the stage select screen because there's 3 areas you can choose from, and then when you pick the stage, there's some text that scrolls by with a character kind of explaining what your mission is, and then you go. It doesn't take a lot of time. You spend more time on a Mega Man boss select screen than the stage select on this, but this awesome track is what's playing over it.
Oh, that's so
I am
awesome.
floored.
That is so awesome. Yeah, so you said you stretched, but this is not a stretch. This is definitely a movie. Was City Hunter based on a manga? I'm gonna guess it was.
It was. It was a manga, then an anime, and then it got some movies.
It still counts because most of these movies were also based off of novels. No Escape was based off of a novel called The Prisoner or the Prison Island or something silly like that.
But not The Prisoner with a number 13 or any of that, right?
No, not that.
No. What makes you think a giant balloon would stop them? Shut up, that's why. And for the record, that's one of my most commonly quoted Simpsons lines. Shut up, that's why.
Oh man. So what you said you watched some gameplay. So what's this one like? Is another like kind of classic side-scrolling shoot 'em up?
Yeah, the vibe I got from watching is like it looks very similar to something like Rolling Thunder or Elevator Action, where the character is dropped in like a base, and he's got to run down hallways where enemies will pop out and try to shoot at him sometimes, and he's opening doors to go into like these one-screen rooms where he might find nothing, he might find an enemy, he might find a character that talks to him, and sometimes that character will give him items. But I guess in true City Hunter fashion, if you're really lucky, you'll come across a room where a woman's changing. She's like, "Oh no!" and she covers herself up. He's like, "Oh, sorry," and he runs back out. But like that's pretty much the game. Like he's running between these different rooms, looking for like characters that will give him like the items he needs to get, I guess, to the goal. And then he has to escape by helicopter. And usually that's where he has to fight the boss of the stage on the helicopter pad.
It's rad. I will say it again. I love the sound of the TurboGrafx 16 PC engine, and I feel like this really plays to its strengths. It's something about like that rhythm it's got going on.
And it's amazing that for as much as I love Sunsolve, I didn't know that this game existed until this episode.
I swear, I know I've heard of it.
Apparently, someone translated it like in the last year or two.
Maybe that's how I've heard of it. Because I remember hearing about this game, maybe getting it confused with Snatcher, but knowing that this existed, but just not even thinking about it. Wow. Oh, there's these little flourishes, and the drum fill, the chun 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 chun. Is super cool, super 90s.
And I love how on the stage select screen there's like a character who's like above the stage, is like pointing out like, pick a freaking stage! Pick a freaking stage! And it's just like this great image. It's just like a person just constantly pointing downward. So like, I got it, I'll pick a level.
It's not like Mega Man where he's like giving like the side eye to like Hard Man and looking over at Gemini Man. It's like someone just pointing, like, just pick it. Just do it. Just hit the button.
Pick a blooming stage. There's 3 of them.
Do it. It's right there.
It's not that hard, kid. It's like, well, one of them might have ice cream, and I already went swimming, so I don't feel comfortable eating ice cream after swimming.
Yeah,
so
you gotta be safe.
I won't pick that stage.
You don't go swimming right after eating ice cream. A hamburger.
One level might require parallel parking, and I've never been all that good at that, so I'd like to avoid that stage if possible.
There's not enough parallel parking mini games in video games, but I'll tell you what certainly does not have driving or parking of any kind is my next game for the Sega Genesis. It is Dune, The Battle for Arrakis. This is the sequel to Dune. It's for the Sega.
Spice!
The spice must flow on this episode and into your mouth. I know you like spicy things, so.
I do like spicy things.
Spice in this case is anything filled with capsaicin. Is that how you say it? Capsaicin?
I always call it capsaicin.
Capsaicin?
It doesn't spell like it, but for some reason I think I heard it as capsaicin once and stuck with it.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone actually say it aloud, so I don't know. I don't know how to say it. But this track, so the tracks are named after, I guess, what's happening in the game or the stages. This is called the Lego tune. I think it's Lego, like Lego. It's a character in the game that you eventually fight against. This is a real-time strategy game. This is the first of the Command and Conquer series that came out on the PC and the PlayStation.
Oh yeah.
So on the track we have Paul Murda, Frank Klepacki, really long-time famous VGM composer, and Dwight Okahara for Dune: The Battle for Arrakis. Put your hands up for Dune. Yeah.
It's good. This is really good.
Moa deep.
This is legit, man.
It's pretty good. So you're listening to the Lego tune or Lego tune from Dune: Battle for Arrakis for the Sega Genesis. Composed.
I think it's. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You think it's what?
I was about to excitedly say. That's how excited I was to say it. I jumped early. Was to say. I think it's worth saying that we owe Jess a major thank you for this topic because these are some really good picks this episode, and I personally don't think I would have ever been like, let's do a movie 16-bit episode.
Yeah. So, I saw it and I was like, I messaged you and you were like, I guess so. Not so sure. But I have
an episode track for the Ender that will show you what I was expecting to hear from movie-themed games. You'll know why I didn't want to do the topic originally, so Jess hooked it up. Yes, we picked some good ones.
Yeah, so this one came out really good. So there was Dune, a novel, obviously, and then it was created into a movie in the 80s by Kubrick. Stanley Kubrick.
Stanley Kubrick did the movie for Dune?
Yeah, it's amazing actors in it. It's crazy. It's really 80s. It's got Sting. Sting is in it. And then in the 90s, it was remade into a kind of a miniseries. And in the miniseries, it's really good. It's played up like it's almost.
You tell me it was Stephen King.
No, it wasn't Stephen King. It's played up. It's played up almost like a Shakespeare play. It's just everyone's overacting and the sets are really elaborate, and it's super entertaining. It's like 3 or 4 episodes. Each episode's like about an hour and a half long. If you ever could get a chance to find it somewhere, it's probably on Amazon or on Hulu or something. It's really fun. It's really, really good. And I heard that they're making a new Dune, like a new movie creation of Dune, soon. So
now, is Dune like a drama or a comedy or a dramedy or a thriller?
It is a epic. It is a sci-fi fantasy epic. The world trade system runs on intergalactic travel, and intergalactic travel cannot be performed without spice. And spice, so who controls the spice controls the universe, right? And the spice is mined from this planet called Dune. Dune is the desert planet. And there are houses, essentially like families who control different worlds and different galaxies, and they're all fighting.
Wait, is that what? So I'm not remembering this properly because you mentioned desert. So one thing I remember about Dune, aside from spice must flow, is giant worms.
Yes, so that they live on the planet, and that's where they live. Essentially, they produce the spice on the planet.
The worms do.
The worms do, yeah. So. It's a big part of the world. There's a nomadic tribe that live on the planet of Dune. They survive wearing still suits that recycle all of the water in the human body back into itself, and they live out there. And I forget all the details, but you follow the main character, whose family ends up controlling the production of spice on Dune, and it's all about like the play, all the backstabbing and stuff that happens on the planet. And he leaves and becomes the new, essentially the new, how do you call it? Like a spiritual leader for the people on Dune to lead the world into a new direction. His name is Muad'Dib. And and to kind of the rite of passage of the tribe is to call one of these giant sandworms and ride it, like get on top of it and ride it around. It's crazy.
I wonder now, do you think the Beetlejuice scene where she rides the sandworm was a reference to Dune?
100%. 100%. Absolutely. Yeah, because I mean, the movie is so iconic, and the book has been popular and around for so long. I love it. I have a lot of nostalgia for the movie, for the book. and for the '90s series, definitely. So I suggest anyone who's interested, just check it out. It's really it's you gotta kind of let go. You know, it's a Kubrick movie, so you gotta be like, okay, you're gonna get into some weird stuff, and even the '90s show you're gonna get into some weird stuff there too. But it's a lot of fun.
That '90s show.
Yeah, it's that '90s show. They made that, didn't they? Right? It was that seven. No,
they did it.
No, they did that '80s show.
I could have sworn it was that. Maybe it was that '80s show, and they stopped there. Because I just know that whatever one came after '70s show was not very popular.
Everything was the '80s.
Like, it didn't last.
Yeah, it was like 2 episodes. I talked about Dune for a while, so
they didn't feature enough Garbage Pail Kids. That's why it didn't succeed. They should have taken a lesson from the Goldbergs.
Oh, did they talk about the Garbage Pail Kids and the Goldbergs?
Oh, quite a bit. In fact, the guy who created the Goldbergs is a huge fan of Garbage Pail Kids, like publicly. And one of the series that I have, there are a ridiculous number of cards in it specifically referencing Adam Goldberg. And for a while, it didn't click for me. I was like, why are there so many Garbage Pail Kids named Blank Goldberg or Goldberg something? Because they were all related to the show The Goldbergs.
No kidding. I learned something. Today I learned. TIL. All right. So we're on to your final track, right?
Mm-hmm. And this track, you already know I'm probably picking from this game because you see me moan and groan about it on Facebook.
I certainly did.
This game is on the Sega Genesis, complete the trifecta, and this is the game Jurassic Park. The track is titled The Visitor Center Area, and this comes from composer Sam Powell. Welcome back. You're listening to the Visitor Center from the game Jurassic Park on the Sega Genesis, composed by Sam Powell.
Ooh.
Fantastic OST.
So good.
This is probably my favorite track from the game.
It's very good, man. This is awesome. It is raw, man. I just feel like that bass is just this gets me in the mood for some Dino action, Pernell.
Well, sit down because you don't want that action. So let me take that back a bit because I know for a fact as a child I thought the game was fantastic. And honestly, even now, playing it yesterday actually, it wasn't bad. However, I have no idea how in the hell I beat this as a kid because, actually I guess I kind of do, because I'm pretty sure this game requires primarily a case of memorization and knowing the entire game back to front because, so, like, the game is designed where you can either be the Raptor or Grant. Mm-hmm. Grant, his goal is to get out of Jurassic Park. The Raptor's goal is to eat humans, because why the heck not? I primarily play as Grant, and when he plays, he gets a tranquilizer gun with weak or powerful darts. He can find, like, stun grenades and powerful grenades, and for the most part, you're just, running through the stages that are featured in the movie, just in the form of video game stages. And his adversaries are, of course, the dinosaurs. Now, why in the heck is this game such a pain in the magungo? Well, I can't remember I'm not sure how many people remember these things, but a lot of games like this that were made to be more like their cinematic counterparts, like feel like cinematic games, had very janky controls because they were trying to model these characters to do like these like jumps that had a number of different animation frames to them, so it actually looked like he was moving and flowing. So a lot of jumps are like hard to gauge in time. The enemies can attack from off screen. You can fall in a way where this game will scroll ahead of you and you'll die.
Yes.
That happened to me a few times. It's annoying as the dickens.
Yeah.
And also, sometimes the enemies are moving so fast, primarily pterodactyls and raptors in the power station, where if you don't know they're coming, you're guaranteed to take that first hit because they're moving faster than you can react to them being on the screen. At least that's me being old.
It's a lot.
Maybe younger people didn't have that problem.
This is the highlight of making a game, like a rental game, so hard you're just never going to finish it. I don't know how you finished. I never finished this one. I don't know how you got through it. It was just like
pretty sure I played a lot of it. That's about it.
It's one of those games where the screen scrolled horizontally way faster than you could react to. Way faster than you were actually like moving on the screen. It was just constantly flowing around. So you couldn't see what was ahead of you or what was behind you or what was coming up next. And oh man, I was so excited for this game when it came out, but I was so bad at it. Could not figure it out.
There was bits of trial and error too. Like for example, I mean, you get a bunch of different items, like weaponry, but the game, maybe the manual did, I don't remember. But the game itself doesn't explain what weapons are good on what. You just have a bunch of stuff. So for example, I came across Triceratops at the beginning of the game. And if he doesn't see you, you can jump on his back and then jump over him. But if he does see you, you're going to get hit. You have no choice but to get hit because stun darts don't stop it. However, if you happen to have some grenades, like stun grenades, they actually will stop a Triceratops. But you have to know to throw a stun grenade at it, which for a while I was being item hoarder McGee, so I did not think to do that. I just let him toss me over his back, like, okay, I can keep moving now.
Pernell hoarding items, never heard of it.
You never know. You might have to fight 3 T-Rexes at once, and you'll want those weak stun grenades. Choke on it, T-Rex, you jerk. But will I end up seeing myself going back and trying to finish this game? If I weren't swimming in games left and right to complete or play just for reviews and stuff, or even just my very much failed 10 in summer 2021 challenge, I probably would. But merciful crap, there's just no time.
There's more to be doing with our time. The summer of 16-bit. It's right. Maybe not with Jurassic Park. Maybe not with Jurassic Park from the Sega Genesis.
Not a chance.
Man, there's a lot of good tracks like contending for my favorite of the episode. But you know what? This episode's not over yet because it is time for the bonus round.
Bonus round. Bonus round. The bonus. Let me stop making sounds so Rob can talk.
Bonus round.
Bonus!
The bonus round is where we play covers and remixes and arrangements and just other oddities that we find related to our topic on the show. And on this one, I found something a little interesting. This is a Toy Story for the Super Nintendo.
You got a friend in me.
That's right, yeah. But this is a track called Daytona. It is unused in the Super Nintendo version.
Daytona! Let's go away.
That's what caught my eye. It was, I think it was originally used in the Sega Genesis version. It was in the Super Nintendo ROM, I guess, but not used in the game. So Daytona. So we're going to hear this one. Composers on the soundtrack, we have, again, Allister Brimble, Andy Blythe, Marten Joustra, Patrick J. Collins, and of course, some music adapted from Randy Newman, but not this one.
Oh God, that means there's a Randy Newman sing fest coming.
No, I think this one is definitely Allister Brimble, if that's how it feels to me. So here we go. This is from Toy Story for the Super Nintendo. Daytona. This is Daytona from Toy Story. From Toy Story. This is Daytona, unused track from Toy Story for the Super Nintendo. I believe this one is Allister Brimble. Actually credited on the site that I looked it up on as his full name, Allister Morten Brimble. But yeah, this is a cool track. I like it. It feels like a racing track. You know what I mean?
You really got me thinking about this now too, because apparently when you said Daytona, something was coming to mind. I was like, I heard that before, and it's because Shining Wisdom actually also has a Daytona circuit.
Does it? That's funny.
You find a toy car item that when you find the car, if you equip the item, you drive the toy car around the levels, and you can find the secret Daytona circuit, which is a racetrack where you drive the Daytona car and go for a good time.
It's just a good pun. You know what? And we can't let it go. You just can't let it go.
Fantastic.
All right. So what's your bonus round track?
So I could not do an episode on movies and not coming towards this movie. So of course I had to find a good cover for said game based on said movie, and I found some good stuff.
Ooh, what you got?
So the game based on the movie is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, movie on the Super Nintendo. This is a cover of the Stage 2 theme, and it's done by Super Geek Music. Oh my god, I love that track. So I've listened to that track multiple times over the last day or two.
I've never heard of this group before. I've never heard of them before. They're really good.
Me neither, but now that I know of them, I'm diving deep. I'm diving, baby, looking for more, because this is a banger. And the funny thing is, like, my memory is a little hazy on this because, like, the character select screen on the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, the game, I think resembles the movie one of the movies I didn't see. But the very first Power Rangers, the movie, I was excited to go see that at the theater. My friends made fun of me. I did not care. I wanted to see it because I wanted to see what the big screen would treat, how the big screen would treat it. It was Power Rangers. But still, I was engaged. I enjoyed it. I had a great time with it. And something about that back in the day, though, too, when you were younger. Because, I was a teenager at the time, but it still applies where you'd have these, like, children's TV shows that you enjoy, but then you hear about them getting a movie, and you always wonder how they're going to raise the stakes enough to feature in a movie. And even The Simpsons had that. When The Simpsons finally got its movie in the early 2000s, it was like, okay, The Simpsons have been on for, like, over a decade now. It's kind of funny to hear over a decade now. But it was like, now they're finally getting a movie. What are we going to do? What's going to be a prominent enough plot to feature on a Simpsons movie that they didn't do on the last number of episodes they've done of the show? And of course, that was part of the reason why you went to the movie to see it. You want to see what they would do on the big screen. Same with Power Rangers. And I was a pleased person. But the music in the movie wasn't touching the music in the game. Both the Power Rangers movie video game and the original game based on just the TV show. Both of those games had fantastic OSTs.
Really, really good. So, I was never into. I feel like I was too old for the Power Rangers when they came around. I missed the interest into it. Like, there was still stuff I was into that I was maybe too old for, but I never got into it. But seeing the games and hearing the games, I was always like, wow, that's rocking.
But that's the thing, though. Like, not even looking back, at the time I already knew it. Yeah, I was definitely I don't think we were considered too old for Power Rangers, but I felt like I was. Because when the show got announced, I was really excited for it because I had fond memories of things like Voltron and the like. And up until this point, I want to say, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong here, but we didn't have any real live action Sentai in the States.
No.
Like, actually localized, mind you. Not, someone's imported VHS tape. We didn't have any localized. So Power Rangers was like the first thing we got in that regard. So I was excited for it. But then when I watched it on TV for the first two or three episodes, I was like, I'm not quite sure I like this or not. I kept watching, but I never really felt like I knew that I was a fan. But whenever they did the miniseries or the movies, I got excited. Like the Green Ranger saga, that was exciting. The White Ranger saga was exciting. They were both Tommy. And then the movie, I got excited for that. And it was actually really nice just to be engaged in that capacity. But all in all, I can look back and acknowledge flat out, they may have believed it was going to be. I know a lot of adults that are loving these shows to this day. And I got one friend who made a freaking career out of the whole thing. But for me personally, it was always one thing where it's like, I want to get into it more. But for some reason, they just carried this level of cheese.
Yeah.
That kept me from really getting invested in it. However, fun fact for those who might not know, this was where Bryan Cranston got his start.
That's right. Yeah. And also where hundreds and hundreds of juice bars were started around the country and then failed.
Are you serious because of the juice bar in the show, or are you making that up?
I'm just making that up because that's the only thing I remember.
You totally meant it.
Yeah, I remember that.
Vulcan Skull cosplay.
Well, for more information on the bonus round and on Super Geek Music, go to rhythmandpixels.com. We'll have links to their YouTube page, their Bandcamps if they've got one, and SoundClouds, everywhere you can go check out their music and support these amazing artists. Their YouTube page only has a few videos onto it, so check them out. They're really fantastic artists. All right, thanks for joining us on episode 28-8 of Rhythm and Pixels. Our summer of 16-bit goes to the movies. And we're ending this one now.
That's a good label.
Goes to the movies.
Yeah, summer 16-bit goes to the movies.
I like that one. Yeah, so we're ending this on Bebe's Kids, which I remember was a TV show.
No, it was a movie.
It was a movie first?
It may have gotten a conversion, but it was originally a movie that was done by Robin. I had his name in my head and I totally forgot because it wasn't Robin Williams. Rest in peace. It was like Robin Harris. There we go. Robin Harris. It was a concept based off of his stand-up from back in the day about a bunch of really, really unruly kids whose mother didn't really take care of them, just kind of left them to their own devices. So they were just like terrible kids. Or in some respects, it was also just really bad kids who never got disciplined. But he made a whole movie about it. And it's kind of funny because originally when this topic came across the desk, my first thought was this is all going to be a bunch of music from sounding like movies, like music from games like Bebe's Kids, which I for some reason believe like it was a bad OST. And I wrote a note down so I wouldn't forget the reason why I felt that way, which was really short loops. Like the loops were just stupid short.
Super short.
And I was like, hey, Rob, we should pick a track from at the end of the episode for Bebe's Kids to give it an impression of what I was expecting to hear. And then we're going through the tracks. I'm just like, crap. These all sound okay. What was I listening to then? It doesn't sound bad.
It's not so bad. About almost 4, maybe even 5 years ago, you and I guested on the show Pixel Tunes Radio with Ed Wilson and Mike. And the show was called Great Music and Bad Games. And I picked the track from Bebe's Kids, and everyone's like, oh, here we go. And I'm like, this sounds cool. Like these, it's just sampled drum breaks and they just loop it over and over again. Like, yeah, you would say that now. But back in like 94, this was cool. Like, and even now it sounds pretty neat too. And these beats are funky. These are still fresh today.
Like I stand by my only feeling. The only issue I really have for a lot of these tracks is that the loop was too short, so it gets repetitive and old fast.
My guess is that the samples might have been too heavy or they're too large, so maybe it used too much space on the cart, or maybe they just didn't care enough and they're like, yeah, I got some cool breaks. Here you go. Throw it on the track.
My exception will be the Stewards. The Stewards track was I didn't like that one. Yeah. It was like remember.
Oh, wow, that was
a frog croaking.
That was a while ago that we did that one episode. I was in Texas for work, and I was listening back to that episode, and I thought I was cool for playing Bebe's Kids. I'm like, yeah, I remember Bebe's Kids. You were talking about
were you strutting down the street?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I thought everybody in Houston, like, they knew who I was. I was a superstar. Like, oh, that's that guy.
Step back. Bebe's Kids aficionado right here.
This guy knows Super Nintendo music more than I do. Give that man a key to the city. You were describing the show and the stand-up, and it reminded me of Bernie Mac from the original Kings of Comedy. His stand-up routine was all about these kids that were horrible and how he hit them with a hammer.
And he also did a show related to that stand-up. It was just the Bernie Mac show.
The Bernie Mac show. That's what it was. Yeah, I wonder. I don't think I ever really caught that one, but like I remember watching the original Kings of Comedy and being like, "Oh wow, this is."
The Bernie Mac show was fantastic. It only went off the air because unfortunately he passed away. Yeah. But I guarantee you, if he did not, that show would have gone strong another couple seasons because people loved it, and for good reason.
I think he would probably be doing cameos and stuff in like movies, like action movies and stuff, just like showing up as kind of comedy relief, yelling at people. Like he would still be out there today.
He'd be pushing Kevin Hart off the screen, like, get out of here.
He would.
There's already a Bernie Mac.
But cursing his head off. More like Samuel L. Jackson level cursing.
Can you imagine the Jumanji movie if they slapped Bernie Mac in there instead of Kevin Hart?
Oh, that'd be amazing. If it was Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Bernie Mac the whole way.
They wouldn't have been able to make the height-related jokes like they did with Kevin Hart, but I think they would have probably compensated it in a different way. And people are probably listening, like, why of all people would you reference Bernie Mac to Kevin Hart? And like, for some reason, it's just the way they output their humor. I feel like they have a similar method of it, except that Kevin Hart is cleaner in that sense.
Yeah, I
feel like they're very similar in how they deliver.
I think it's like the Kings of Comedy, or the original Kings of Comedy. I really like D.L. Hughley and Kevin Hart kind of slower sort of live side by side in my head. Except, yeah, Kevin Hart is a lot cleaner. That is for sure than the rest of those guys. Oh, wow, we got off on a tangent. Thanks for joining us on this episode. We're going to continue the summer of 16-bit. We had some suggestions in Patreon. On our Discord server. If you can go ahead and find that on our website, rhythmandpixels.com. You can make suggestions there at any time, and most likely we'll probably do them at some point. There was another suggestion. I think the other suggestion was from Bedroth, was to do music from games that were prototypes that were not released.
That would be hard as that dick is, especially if we're sticking with 16.
Exactly. So I don't know. We might do a little research on that one this next week and decide on it or not. But we'll figure it out.
I would wager if we do that one, it certainly wouldn't be next week. That would take time.
Yeah.
That would take legit time.
I don't believe that the construction in my house is going to be done by the time we record next week. So I have a feeling we'll be doing this separately again next week, just to kind of give you a heads up, and our listeners too, if you don't mind the sound quality being a little different. I'm always really proud of our microphones and our sound quality of the show.
And the fact that it doesn't even it does pick up my fan a little bit, but guess what? It's summertime.
Yeah.
It's hot.
And there's any time you get a pass, it is now. It's 98 degrees outside. So if you want to get in contact with us, talk about how hot we are, literal hot, send us an email, please.
rhythmandpixels@hotmail.com.
And for a full track listing of our show and access to all of our shows, check out the website.
rhythmandpixels.com.
You can check us out on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. It's Rhythm and Pixels, all one word. Just type it in and you'll find us there. Check out our Discord server. It's on our website at the very, very top of the website. I think there's a link right there that'll drop you into our Discord server. I'll go to youtube.com/rhythmandpixels, and there we have a 24/7 8-bit and 16-bit radio station playing nothing but classics and deep cuts. Just hours and hours of music that you can listen to while studying, listen to in the car, listen to if you're a Twitch streamer, you can play it in the background because none of it is licensed music. So you can just kind of have classic retro tunes all day long. And if you'd like to support the show, you can go to Patreon, patreon.com/rhythmandpixels. And there you get a prequel episode every week of me and Pernell kind of catching up just with each other, talking about current events, talking about everything. We talked about lots of stuff on today's prequel episode. You also get access to a monthly live streamed recorded episode, and that's once a month. And at the highest tiers, you get access to doing fun stuff on the radio station. Like we'll give you a shout out in the middle of songs, or you can even record your own promos and you can put your own shout out on the show as well, on the radio station as well. But at the highest levels, we like to thank all of our Patreon members. So we like to start with Frankly Zappa, Mike Myers, Sean Dobbins, Andreas Milberg, Brian Pitt, Cameron Worma, Carlos Kung Fu Carlito from the Heroes 3 podcast, Chris Weisner, aka Musashi219, Christopher Shenstrom, Davey Cakes, David Taylor, Harold Howard, Wicked Sephiroth, Justin Schneider from XVGM Radio, Michael Bridgewater, Meebree64 from Forever Sound Version, Reinhard Zelkova, Sleepy S'more, Steve Miller, Taco, The Autistic Gamer 89, and Ed Wilson of the VG Embassy podcast. So I want to thank all of you so much for your continued support of our program.
Much appreciated for sure. And then so.
Out of breath.
Keep in mind, of course, if you got any thoughts where you're like, hey, I like what you guys are doing. However, I have another thought. Keep in mind, you can always contact us, let us know like if you have any thoughts about the show or anything. If you wanted like more game streams, I don't know, anything, random bric-a-brac. Let us know.
Yeah, new stuff. If you want different stuff, if you don't like what we're doing, if you have a problem with what we said, let Pernell know. I'll give you your personal email.
Let Pernell know.
Yeah. Pernell's my manager. He'll let me know. He keeps me in line.
Just crack knuckles and drink Kool-Aid. Like, yeah.
That's not Kool-Aid.
I was like, what? Oh, that's true. This is actually Mio Energy.
Oh, you're going for that stuff again.
No, Mio's good. There's nothing wrong with Mio.
Oh, that's the stuff with the drops you put in the thing, right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
He's like, that's still He's like, I hate Mio.
I never had it. I'll have to try it sometime, but not the energy stuff because I don't do that anymore. But everyone, thanks for listening to the show, Rhythm and Pixels. My name is Rob Nichols.
And I'm Pernell.
Have a great week. We'll see you next time.
And remember, spoiler, I already said it earlier in the show, haste makes waste. And not to mention the fact that all things take time. If you feel as though you need to accomplish a goal, build yourself, grow towards something, if you're not seeing the progress and the results in the immediate future, don't feel discouraged. If you don't feel as though you're putting enough effort in, then hey, there's nothing wrong with putting in more effort. Nothing wrong with that at all. But with that said, if you are putting in all the effort you possibly believe you can, and you're not seeing the progress and results you want just yet, just keep at it. They'll eventually come, and when they do, you'll likely be floored by them or pleasantly surprised. Either way, keep stretching and reaching towards your goals.